Hey guys, today's show is brought to you in part by LapelYeah.com, the coolest pro wrestling enamel pin company, who just actually made me 2 new pins that I'm selling on ColtMerch.com. But LapelYeah.com has their own amazing site with their own amazing pins that you can wear and show love for pro wrestling anytime, dressing up your jacket, bag, hat, or even your suit. Lapel Yeah also does custom orders, which is a no-brainer if you got a merch table, a wrestling promotion, or even a podcast. Follow them on Instagram at LapelYeah, Twitter at LapelYeahPins. Get 25% off your order at LapelYeah.com with the promo code COLT. They ship worldwide. Buy them, enjoy them. But for now, enjoy the show.
This is The Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
It's Colt Cabana.
All right, how you guys doing? Come on in, sit down, relax. You're about to listen to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's personal journalism and entry way into the minds, the souls, the hearts, and the lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I am your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I was a birthday boy. I am a commentator. I am a podcaster. Most importantly, though, I am a professional wrestler, and I am sitting here live in my studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before I go any further, this is a fan supported and listener supported podcast supported by people just like you. Give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you can support, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Tell a friend, tweet it out, Facebook it out. Best way that you can support, though, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, t-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads, premium podcasts, lapel pins, buttons, micro brawlers, the works. I got the works. ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. All right, today's episode is one giant show. I'm not going to lie to you on that one. It is one big commercial for Boone the Bounty Hunter, John Morrison's movie. But because of that, we sit down and we talk, and we talk about the process of making the movie. But I tie it all into the idea of he's a wrestler now, not with the WWE, and he's financing a movie kind of by himself, and that's scary. And so that's what we get into. And then surrounding that is all types of different independent wrestling, Lucha Underground, wrestling in different countries, liking wrestling, hating wrestling, what comes with that while trying to make a movie and promote yourself and all that stuff. So it all kind of ties itself in to this one movie that is now available now, Boone the Bounty Hunter, on Amazon and on iTunes. Way easier than me trying to sell a movie on digitalcolt.com. You can just go to your iTunes or your Amazon, you could click it and you can watch it. And you should. And we'll get into it. You'll hear the whole story. You'll hear a nice talk with John and I. Speaking of movies, I saw another movie. A PR lady sent me a movie. When I started with the guys selling my advertising, I think they put me on some kind of list. And so I'm like a thing now, and random PR people will hit me up and ask me to watch their movie, or ask me to have somebody on as a guest sporadically. Usually it has nothing to do with wrestling, and they're just hitting up everybody. And I'll reply, and I'll be like, my show's only about wrestlers. And then one time, the woman doing the PR for Shawn Michaels' book was like, would you like to have Shawn Michaels on as a guest? And I was like, yeah, I guess. And she sent me the book, and I'm pretty sure I gave it away at an unprofessional wrestling show. And then I said, hey, it's got to be in person. Is he going to be in Chicago anytime soon? And she's like, oh, I don't think so. Sorry. And then literally 2 weeks later, I'm flying to one of those, I think Legends of the Ring or something. And of course, bumped up to first class because I got that status. And who's right across the row from me? Shawn Michaels was flying from Chicago to the same show I was doing. And we started chatting up a little bit. And I'm like, well, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I've been in Chicago for 2 weeks filming the God movie, which I don't think has come out yet. Something about Gavin Stone or something. I don't know. He was into God, and he was in Chicago for 2 weeks, and the PR lady was like, nah, I just don't see him ever coming to Chicago. But I did get an offer to watch a movie from Morgan Spurlock, who, of course, uncredited me in his movie Mansom, where I shaved Sean Devari's butt. And yeah, I hold a little grudge for that uncredit. But you know what? If he's going to make a wrestling movie, I'll check it out. So Morgan Spurlock did a movie called Body Slam: Revenge of the Banana, and I watched it, and I'm talking about it now because I am going to Seattle, Washington State, for the first time in probably over 10 years on June the 2nd for 3-2-1 Battle, and in this movie was all about 3-2-1 Battle, how they started on a stage show at hipster Seattle, just putting on these fringe shows in front of a crowd that obviously wanted to see it. And I remember years ago wrestling in Seattle, everybody hated the commission. There's a fake commission for pro wrestling, and it's just ridiculous, and it's a scam. And I know there's one of the commissioner dudes in Baltimore listens to this show, and I'll talk about how shitty the commission is, and I feel bad because he's probably like, well, it's my job, and you know, I don't want anyone to lose their job, but these commission things are just bullshit. Real bullshit in my thoughts, my alleged thoughts, or however that works, but you get the idea. And the people in Seattle also think that, and they battle it, and that's kind of what the movie is about, and it's kind of cool. You get to see that process of performers wanting to perform, and just, I don't know, assholes who want to take money from people who don't have any money, which hits right to the fucking heart with me, right? Trying to take their money. And I recommend it. A thumbs up. Revenge of the Banana. And in the movie, the banana is the real heel. The real heel is the banana. Who'da thunk? So 2 recommendations for movies and 1 thumbs down. The thumbs down goes to Jesus, Shawn Michaels movie. Actually, I've never seen it, so I don't know. I don't even know what's out. But thumbs up to Body Slam, Revenge of the Banana. And a huge thumbs up to Boone the Bounty Hunter with John Morrison, John Mundo, John Hennigan. John with John. I had a busy weekend this week. I was in Clive, Iowa. Pro Wrestling Revolver, there's a great show going on in Clive, Iowa if you live around there. I mean, all the names in the world. Sammy Callahan's basically run the show, calling in his favors, calling in his friends, and it's in Iowa, and it's great. And it was a great atmosphere, great fans, great show. Came back to Chicago, AAW, you know the deal. Wrestled All Ego, Ethan Page. Again, great atmosphere, great show. I did a great podcast beforehand, a real fun podcast. That'll come out in a month or 2. The birthday podcast. And then I did some commentary in Toronto. I'll do commentary tonight. I've done commentary tonight in Detroit. You get the idea. I'm doing a lot. I'm on the road. I'm having fun. But most importantly, I want to get to Boone the Bounty Hunter. I want to talk to Boone the man. Oh, on the show in Iowa, Morrison wrestled as Boone the Bounty Hunter, and it was pretty great. Not John Morrison, as Boone the Bounty Hunter. And I'm interested to see if he just wrestles as Boone the Bounty Hunter from now on in order to promote his movie at every show. Song of the Week this week is brought to you by Harry's razor blades that I use, that Boone the Bounty Hunter, I can only assume, uses. If he doesn't, he better. I mean, he's shaved up nice and good. If he wants a better shave, he better start and use Harry's. Harry's is the razor company who's been with me for years. It's the same one I use on the road. It's the same one I use at home. It's the same handle I have at home. The same shave cream I have at home. The same company who was sick of big razor companies constantly increasing their prices to reap profits at the expense of their customers. Jeff and Andy, they're just 2 dudes. They couldn't take it anymore. They went to Germany, they bought their own factory, they cut out the middleman, and now they use the internet to ship you quality blades at an amazing price point. Harry's is just $2 a blade. Drugstore blades start at $4. And over time, that adds up. Start a good habit today and start using Harry's.com. Harry's is so confident you'll love their blades. They're going to give you their trial set for free. All you got to do is cover $3 shipping. You get a weighted ergonomic razor handle, 5 precision engineered blades with lube strip and trimmer blade, rich lathering shave gel, and a travel blade cover. It's free. Stop messing around and get started shaving with Harry's today by claiming your free trial offer. Just cover that shipping. Go to harrys.com/wrestling. That's harrys.com/wrestling. The song of the week is sang by John himself. I'm sorry. It's sang by Boone the Bounty Hunter himself. It's the main song for the movie Boone the Bounty Hunter. It's called Boone. Check out the pipes on John Morrison and then listen to our chat. John Morrison back on the show.
Yes.
It's been...
It's like one of those sequels that gets better, like Empire Strikes Back.
I was going to say, what, Major League 2? What would you name it?
I almost talked myself into a corner.
Yeah.
Police Academy 2.
No.
Lethal Weapon 2.
What are the...
Die Hard 2.
Terminator 2? T2?
Yeah. T2, I think so. Terminator, both of those movies were great, though.
Yeah. But I think I saw Terminator 2 before I saw Terminator. And that's what happens when you see movies. If you see the second one, you just have that there's a special place in your heart. Like, I think Police Academy 3, Citizens on Patrol, would probably be my favorite Police Academy. It's the first one I saw. I gotta agree with you.
It's not only the first one I saw, but I must have watched Police Academy 3 like 15, 20 times.
Yeah.
You know you're in trouble when you go to a Blockbuster Video and you go straight to Police Academy 3, and your dad's like, no, God, oh, no, not again. Come on.
Or
Come on, John.
you're in trouble in 2017 when you go to a Blockbuster video.
Absolutely.
That can also be in trouble.
Speaking of awesome movies.
Yeah. So, let's, because this is fun. You actually have a real movie coming out, but I think it's also part of, this is kind of about our journey. And the last time you came on the show, you had just kind of been released by WWE. Released. You didn't quit, did you? Can we?
I quit. I would say, I wouldn't say I quit or was released. At the end of 2011,
your
I just
contract
didn't resign.
ended, yes.
I let my contract run out. They offered me a couple things. They didn't offer me what I wanted, and
you were like, I want to make a movie, and they were like, no.
Pretty much.
Really?
I wanted to.
Was this your dream?
I wanted to make a movie, and I wanted to not have to work 250 days a year.
Oh, baby.
I know. That's how I felt about 6 months later. I was like, oh, God, what the hell was I thinking?
No, I think that's not a lot to ask, but I can imagine like a certain person like Vincent is just like, like they're all like doing like the whiny fake voice. Like,
Right.
John doesn't want to have to work every single day of the year for the rest of his life.
What does he want to do? Go to weddings and have a social life and family and friends?
You should be ashamed
That's
of
not
yourself.
how it works here.
Yeah, you should be ashamed of yourself. So, and so that was like, right. That was like you probably us talking about kind of maybe a little bit of how you got in. We could talk a little bit about it more, but also
It does take time to adjust. You know, when you're with WWE for a long time and you go back to the real world, which is not really the real world for professional wrestlers anyway. But it takes a little bit of
can be
time
for some.
It's true.
Well, actually, probably it's like it's them pretending to be in the real world, but really, right? Like
That's true.
Even if they go to if they get themselves a 9-to-5 job or whatever it might be, like there's a part of us probably still.
They're still getting carny on their 9 to 5,
Right.
probably stealing papa clips and calling their boss a gimmick and
Right.
bossing around the jabronis that work for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, you were saying it's hard.
Oh, it just takes a little while to adjust.
Right. And so right. So this is I would say I forgot when we did yours, but probably 2012. It's maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
After the fact, and now. I mean, essentially, I don't know, and of course, this is a lot about independence. Is like, is this your, do we talk about how you've adjusted to the independent scene, or what you think about the independent scene, and then also leading to the movie that's coming out
May 9th on VOD, iTunes, and Amazon, and June 6th on DVD at Walmart.
Oh, okay. So the May 9th one. I don't know if we're going to put this before. Do you want this to come out before? This is all stuff to be talked about, not on the podcast.
No, it's fine. We can talk about the marketing on the actual podcast.
Do you want me to pop this episode the week before the VOD or the week after?
The week after.
The week after, right.
Yeah.
So they all know they can go right now.
Yeah, so
They've clicked
we got
over.
the link. You can get instant satisfaction by downloading Boone on iTunes and Amazon.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's talk about, well, I know you did a lot. You sacrificed a lot to make this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start at the beginning of this process. So we mentioned it was the real world when you leave WWE. It gets more real because you suddenly don't have a huge company telling you where to go, when to be there, and handling all your travel for you. That's your responsibility now.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Do you like that? Like, because me personally, I mean, yeah, it's nice to have someone just do everything for you.
Oh no, that's one of the reasons I left. I was tired of just kind of being on that express train, or whatever you want to call it, so to speak, that just shoots forward, and you have really no creative autonomy, no control over your time, and there's not much time for side projects and family and friends.
Right. But I'm saying, like, I get off a little bit on the idea of piecing my independent schedule together, of puzzling it together, of being my own booker, being my own promoter.
This weekend is a good example of a weekend that's an independent wrestling weekend versus WWE.
No, it's not. It's with Lucha Underground.
No, but for me. So Wednesday, I called Danny Davis, and I was going to be in Louisville. So I got myself booked on OVW TV and did a cool
nice.
angle
Congratulations.
with your homie, Matt Capitelli.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
Yeah. And
A reunion of
It was
sorts.
cool catching up with him.
Yeah.
And you guys went to school together.
Yeah, we played college football together.
Man, I forgot about that.
What a small
till
world,
just now.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
He looks jacked in that picture.
He's managing gyms down there in Louisville, and he's still training. He's still a monster. Yeah, he's always getting after it. Thursday, Friday, I had a bachelor party. My sister's fiance is from Lexington, so we spent 2 days batching it up, going to Keeneland, the racetrack, and
did you do a screening of Boone in Louisville?
No.
Oh, I thought that was the part. You just collected a booking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just collected a booking, and I talked about Boone on OVW TV, and gave everyone Boone T-shirts and posters, and got the word out there a little bit.
Gotcha.
But 2 days of bachelor party. Saturday, independent show in Marietta, Ohio. Drove to Cleveland, flew here to Chicago for the C2E2 panel with Lucha Underground. And I set that all up myself because I wanted to go to that bachelor party. And so everything else kind of filled in around that.
That's amazing. I remember it's funny that, I don't know, there's been some, for me, like weddings where I'll set up a comedy show before the wedding.
Yeah.
Or I'll try to get myself booked, or, I can only get, they're doing a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I won't do the rehearsal dinner. So I'll do like, we don't need me at the rehearsal dinner. I can work that night.
You've talked in front of people.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well,
you know how to win a room.
Yeah. I can get a booking the night before.
But I think that's what you're talking about. The idea that you have control of your own schedule versus working for a company that's handling everything, micromanaging your time, your appearances, and your travel. Because with WWE, it would have been really difficult to batch it up over the weekend.
Sure. Yeah. And you, what's the, like, and let's talk a little, because we talk about the successes. I talk about successes and a little bit of the unsuccessful natures. You were putting out that workout video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I bust my ass in that thing. That's what we were talking about last time.
That's
Out
what
of
I'm
Your
saying.
Mind Fitness.
Yeah.
It's still out there in the ether. 6 DVDs, the book, the phone app. I still have 2,500 units of that set up at the dropship location in North Carolina.
I was going to say, did you become a millionaire off that?
I don't know if people keep track of the negative money.
That's kind of what I want to get.
Or if
I don't
there's
want
such
to be able
thing
to
as
say that.
a negative millionaire. Well, I didn't get close to being a negative millionaire, at least. I'm not even close to breaking even on that one, though.
Yeah, so you put in your own time and management, and maybe that is one of the benefits of WWE in WWE, they're the ones that are going to incur that loss.
And I think that's why they feel like they can manage your time like that. They tell you where to go and how to dress and when to be there. But when you're not with them, you're right. If it's your project, it's your risk, it's your money. But it's also more fun that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you create your own thing, then it's going to succeed or fail based on your ideas and what you put into it versus someone else's.
So where did this one go wrong?
Out of Your Mind Fitness, I would say legitimately.
Have you looked back at it? I don't want to get. I don't want to impress you here.
I was just thinking. I've looked back on it quite a bit. The short version of it is, I think the price point of $127 was too high, especially for a first workout product. I would have been much better off if instead of spending a couple years putting together this encyclopedia of functional training, if I'd done 1 or 2 dope workouts and a DVD or a PDF or a book or something that costs like $5 or $10,
right,
then I think I could have sold it. People wouldn't have been nervous about spending $127 on a fitness program they didn't know anything about, even though it was worth it because it was super awesome. But the barrier to entry on Out of Your Mind was a little bit too much.
And that's a marketing term.
Yeah. And the other problem
I also
was,
went to business school and don't even know what that means.
well, it sounds smart when you say it on podcasts.
I know, but also I didn't really pay attention much in business school. So,
Well, I mean, that's not what you go to college for, right?
exactly.
Go to college to learn how to be pro wrestlers.
I was going to say, but I didn't. It's not like I partied or anything. Yeah, but essentially, I did. I was a wrestler while I was in college. That's kind of why I went to college.
I trained a little bit, but most of my college career was spent lifting weights, breakdancing, and doing gymnastics, which is kind of like pro wrestling training.
Yeah, you got there eventually.
Yeah.
Were you doing gymnastics
For the UC Davis men's gymnastics club.
for the club? You weren't
Yeah.
on their team.
Well, they didn't have a men's team. They had a girls team and then a men's club team. And the men's club team competed every once in a while, and I competed a couple times my senior year, and it was clear that I was not of the same caliber as most of the other collegiate
Did you get
gymnasts.
your ass wasted?
Oh yeah.
What did you do and try?
Did the floor exercise, and everyone was furious because I did a tumbling pass, and I had a phone book set up, and I got this phone book and ripped the phone book in half in the middle of my floor routine.
Who are you?
And I had like I had a whole bunch of people come to watch. So like all my friends were there. It was like, this is my first gymnastics competition, and the judges did not like that. I did the high bar, and for some reason in competition, I get way more courageous than I would otherwise be. So I tried to do a
guess.
flyaway giant.
You also put a phone book on the top of the high bar.
If I could have figured out a way to do that, I absolutely would have. No, I went for like a crazy move that I had no business trying and almost killed myself. But in a way, that's more like preparing to wrestle, right?
I would like to think so. Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
sounds very much like wrestling.
Definitely.
Well, I'm sorry that you and your club collegiate gymnastics team didn't work out.
No, it was for the best.
Yeah, because you got.
I was a little big for a gymnast anyway.
You are a guy, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, the best guys on the team were all like 5'2", 5'3". We had one guy on our team that was from the waist down, he was crippled.
Oh,
So
I
he
thought
had
you were going to
this-
say something else from the waist. Oh. From the waist down, he was 6'10".
That'd be a sprinter, a marathon runner, or something else. But he had he was like a regular upper body, and his legs were super small, and he would compete in pommel horse, parallel bars, and rings.
Okay.
And
I'm picturing the guy from Family Guy, I think.
kinda,
You're right?
yeah,
Yeah.
not as chesty, but kinda. I mean, imagine so he. Anyway, I was bigger than that guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
We got there.
Pound for pound, he was much stronger.
Just so you know, I was huge and way bigger than the crippled guy in the wheelchair.
But the crippled guy in the wheelchair kicked my ass
Right.
at every gymnastics meet and at practice.
Nice to know. Okay, so Boone the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
We'll still get there. Okay, so we're in the independence. You've been doing independence 5 years now. What's been your takeaway?
Actually, over the last couple years, I went from doing independence to make money from looking at independence differently. I look at it now as every show I have, I'm building my brand. I don't phone it in anymore, and I always try to associate Johnny Mundo, John Morrison, or whatever my name is, with high quality.
So tell me about phoning it in. That was the thing, huh?
No, it isn't that you ever phone it in, but
No, you said I don't phone it in anymore, and you fucking
I'm taking
you
it
trapped
back
yourself
ski a
into
little bit.
corner.
So when I first left, it was I went from being on the road full time.
You're probably depressed, and you're like, I gotta fucking go to these shows because people are paying me a lot of money, but I have to show up.
And
I mean, I get it.
And when you leave WWE, like when I left, I was thinking maybe I'll take a year off, and in that year, I'll probably do like a Marvel movie and maybe a couple movies. I don't know. And obviously,
That's what was in your head.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It was completely unrealistic.
Where do you because I've known people that also thought that once you leave because you're in a high profile at that place that people on the outside world will just take you in and ready to fucking make you a huge star or continue to be the huge star that you think that you are. So is it just because you'd be around those people or they'd be marking out for you, so you'd assume that they'd put you in roles or something?
Absolutely. I was thinking that from the TV exposure that I had with WWE, and it's hard to explain to people a lot of times how many countless hours of television that you're on when you've been on the road with WWE. I was thinking that was going to open doors, get me auditions, and get me into a lot of high-profile roles. The thing that I didn't take into consideration is that acting
Everyone
like
hates
wrestling is a skill, and and as many people as are fans of wrestling that are going to be excited to meet you and talk about what The Undertaker and John Cena were like, there's a lot of people out there who are movie producers and casting directors who are not impressed with wrestling on your resume.
But they are impressed that you were part of wrestling.
Yes.
But
it'll open doors, but it doesn't. You're not going to get thrown into a major acting role because of because your resume says I wrestled at WrestleMania.
Yeah. So that year off, I want to go back to you saying you phoned in some of these things.
So that being said, then you've got all this stuff in your head, and it's not that you're purposefully trying to have a crap match, but I've got pages of sides in my little computer bag, and I'm at shows, and I'm emailing my agent and following up with casting directors. So it's not like my head was necessarily in the game for the first year of independent wrestling.
And you probably, I'm going to speak for you, but you tell me if I'm right or wrong. You probably don't even want to do the shows, but they're probably like, here's a lot of money, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Like during that
smart enough not
time
to pass
window,
that up, right?
Yeah, because man, it's not there forever. The offers get smaller, not bigger.
Right.
During that window of time, I was just focused on movies, writing, acting, and it was like I have a pretty good one-track mind. When I set my mind on something, I pursue it like a madman. But I realized this about myself: I'm usually good at doing that for only one thing.
Okay.
I'm not a genius, so I'm not talented enough to be good at everything. But usually, if I pick one thing and pursue that only, it ends up working out eventually.
Okay. And recently, I don't know. I guess I would say, like, with this weird popularity of Lucha Underground, it's funny that you say that because you've become, I don't know, you went from a marquee like after WWE, and then that timing window went away, and then you kind of like coast a little bit, and now you're like kind of on this weird comeback of like a thing. And my example would be like it was a spectacle to watch you and I want to say Ray Horace.
Phoenix.
Yes, right. You knew which match I was talking about. But then also at AAW and shows like this. And so it's kind of a weird comeback. So this is I feel this is you on the real part of the indies, which I know you because when we first met in WWE, when you were the greenhorn and I was an extra, you were like, I know who you are, Colt. I watch your stuff, so I know you. This is from 2004 Ring of Honor or whatever.
Yeah.
I know you appreciate the scene. It's not like you didn't have a clue of what it was or what it can do for you. And
I was always a student of the game. Mm-hmm. And also Capitelli talked about you all the time.
Okay, but you knew the Ring of Honor people. I'm just saying.
I watched Red and Loki, and I watched Ring of Honor. I understood from my perspective, or at least I thought I understood.
But that these guys were over and stars or whatever, and it wasn't just the machine. Some people, especially for you, a guy who maybe didn't do the independents, would just be like, no, only Rico Constantino is a star. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or like...
Sideburns are so glorious.
Yeah, whatever. But, there's a lot of people in that system who would see these extras come up, and maybe one person would be like, that's this guy. He's, that's Chad Collier. He's been to Japan. Right. And there's other people being like, I don't give that guy's nobody.
He's never been on SmackDown.
Right.
So what?
He's the guy putting me over.
Who's he ever beat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in this like new era of your career, whatever it might be, of where like you're an important part of the scene, I think.
Absolutely. And part of the reason that it's working for me is because I refocused on wrestling, and I've been focusing not exclusively on it, but with full force, to quote an Epic Wrestling promo, for the past several years, especially since the beginning of Lucha, because it really opened my eyes to this completely new style of wrestling, which I'd call like the flippy shit style.
I was going to say the John Woo style of wrestling.
And slash John Woo style, but it's a lot of what's happening now, like PWG and AAW and Pro Wrestling Revolver and Wrestle Circus, is faster paced, more acrobatic matches. And when I started originally, I wanted nothing more than to do that stuff. And I can't tell you how many spot shows little Johnny Nitro like pulled the chair out in the Shelbyville Fair and did a moonsault, only to get chewed out by Rip Rogers and Jim Cornette about it. I mean, I did years of that. I was going to do this move, the Intestinizer. It was a head spin on someone's stomach. I had all kinds of weird stuff that I wanted to do. And eventually, like when you're with WWE, it kind of gets chipped away. Mm-hmm. And when I was looking at the independent scene that I was suddenly a part of, it's like everyone was doing that. And I was like, oh, I want it. I want back in. I need to be doing this.
Yeah, it's almost perfect for the gymnast what else?
Martial arts,
martial
tricking,
artists.
and break dancing, and Jackie
you were
Chan
made,
stuff.
You were made for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did that come from this weird Lucha Underground boost, I guess, that kind of popped up? Like, I assume in my head, again, you correct me if I'm wrong, you're just out in LA, you're kind of coasting, you're probably trying to do sides and acting and some improv and stuff, and then they, like, Lucha Underground's just in their backyard, and you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then this is all in my head, and you're like, yeah, I'll do it, whatever. And then they give you a gimmick, and then all of a sudden, like, people start really, really liking it, and you're like, wait, people like me again. This is wild. And then, like,
There's a lot of truth to what you're saying.
yeah.
I mean, it sounds kind of douchey the way you're saying it.
No, but I mean, listen, I've been around.
When you get an opportunity, and I had I hadn't thought about applying myself 100% to wrestling in a while, but then when I started getting back into doing a TV taping, doing Lucha Underground, and hearing the crowd really appreciate a lot of the skills that I'd been working on my entire life, I did get really excited about it. And I was like, holy shit, I should apply myself harder than ever.
And people now, independent or whatever it is, Mexico, all these people, they don't want John Morrison or Johnny Nitro, right? They want this new thing, which is
Johnny Mundo.
which is you, though,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I guess
Exactly.
John Morrison's you. But
It's weird that a lot of people ask me how the characters are different between Nitro and Morrison and Mundo, and the biggest difference is just the names. Like, wrestlers you're usually a version of yourself,
Yeah.
and the versions of myself haven't really changed that much.
But you're in your head. I'm doing all the psychological thinking here.
I like it. I'm
thank you.
tired. This is great.
Yeah, in your head, it's like people before booked you for part of that machine that maybe you were a little upset by because you were just in the WWE. You were just this thing that they not made, but you were part of that schedule that you were just being told what to do.
Not enough creative autonomy.
There it is. That's the
Yeah.
smart word. And now you're wanted not. You're now wanting to get booked, not because of that thing that maybe you had a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. Not a chip, but everybody leaves that place being like, ugh, right?
Right.
And now you're wanted for something like kind of cool that
Right.
that you're a part of.
And suddenly, when I get into Lucha Underground, now it feels like I'm part of a collaboration. And I'm talking about storylines. I'm talking about how we can put matches together, where we're going to go, what's going to happen with Lucha Underground as a promotion, what's going to happen with my character. And I was back in suddenly, and I felt like the creative autonomy that I didn't have in WWE, I finally had.
And all the Lucha I feel that the independent world is really like it's WWE and then it's everything else. So like even if it is like whatever TNA or Lucha Underground, like even though Lucha Underground is this probably $1 million thing funded by El Rey or whatever it is, it's still not the big bad machine, which is the.
I mean, absolutely, and we shoot on we'll shoot like 5 episodes a weekend, and so we'll work our balls off for like 3 or 4 months, and then we have this huge off season. And this hiatus we're in now is going to be maybe 16 months between taping season 3 and 4, which is it's like an eternity in the mind of a pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but that's what the indies are, and that's what.
Which is why it feels like I'm wrestling an independent schedule, because now I've got all these promoters' contacts. I'm setting up loops. If I book a show on a Saturday, I'm trying to figure out where I can work Friday and Sunday. Mm-hmm. I mean, the stuff that you've been doing like off and on since you started.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't until you were with WWE for a while.
For those glorious with the man when I was with the man with the evil corporation. Okay, so we're keep on going back to Boone. So
let's go back to Boone.
So you sacrificed a lot. I know that, and
so it's good that we talked about my mentality when I left,
right?
Because it's a good segue to the very first iteration of Boone the Bounty Hunter. I thought that I was going to be able to write a script, attach myself, and make a $10 million movie. So
Jesus,
the very first iteration of Boone the Bounty Hunter had a car chase going the wrong way on the 405, jumping from the freeway to the top floor of a parking garage, there's explosions and all kinds of expensive stunts. And as the drafts went on, we ended up on draft maybe 16 before we started shooting. It constantly got cheaper and cheaper.
Well, so what was your game plan? Write this thing and then sell it to somebody, Or you were going to make a $10 million movie yourself?
No, write the thing, attach myself, and sell it, or just give it to a production company so that they could raise the money and make the movie.
Okay.
That was my first game plan.
Okay. And so how did it all kind of change from that first game plan?
Turns out no one wants to give a wrestler a $10 million property when they're unproven in the world of Hollywood.
But you didn't even know anybody specifically.
Well, I mean, I'm born and raised in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So I have like a handful of contacts. I worked, my very first job in college was working for Access Hollywood as an intern when I was must have been 18 when I was doing that. But anyway, I've got
Was that the guy that with Trump? Or is that a different show? I think that was Access Hollywood.
It could possibly
Billy,
be.
whatever his nuts is.
But I don't know if that guy was there when I was working there.
Seems like the right amount of time. Maybe it was 2005 or something.
I mean,
okay.
I was working there in
97, right? Yeah. Okay.
So I shopped it around a little bit. I sent it to my contacts, and a lot of the feedback that I got from people in the business was, "You're never going to get this movie made with you attached as the lead. You've got no Q value. You're unproven as an actor. You've got a following from wrestling, but you're not going to find a company that's willing to take a $10 million gamble on you." So I cut the production budget of the script in half and decided to shoot a sizzle trailer. So in 2013, we shot a sizzle trailer as proof of concept. And
Who's we? You got a whole team?
So
any wrestling people in this?
me and
Shad Gaspar?
Shad Gaspar was in the sizzle trailer.
Was he?
He was.
Okay,
yeah.
nice.
Brady Romberg was one of the other producers, and was a good friend of mine, a family friend. And we'd been working on this since day one. Like, he introduced me to contacts. He was a really accomplished stunt guy, and does some second unit directing, and wants to actually still is getting into producing, but is producing more and more now.
Okay.
So him, I found a director named Patrick Fogarty that's a talented dude, and was trying to make a name for himself as a director. We shot this sizzle trailer. Didn't really change the game. Script,
When you saw it, did you think it would change the game?
Yeah, but I'd already started to realize how difficult it was going to be to raise the money. So I thought that with the script now cut down to maybe a $2 million movie and a sizzle trailer, that was pretty good. Like the sizzle trailer we shot, when people watched it, they usually got a kick out of it and were laughing and smiling and having a good time. I thought, basically, I thought it was going to end up working.
Yeah.
Another year goes by. No money, no takers. A lot of people blowing smoke. A lot of meetings in coffee houses.
I bet I could have found you one taker.
Oh yeah,
The Undertaker.
oh I knew exactly where you were going with it.
That's all I got. That was my dumb wrestling joke.
I like it. I should have brought it to him.
Yes, he has the money. Oh,
He
maybe
doesn't
not.
bullshit. At least it would have been a better use of my time than sitting in a coffee shop with some jamoke.
Just trying to pitch this thing.
He probably would have just said no right away.
Oh, right.
I mean, he wouldn't have wasted anyone's time.
Or he would have tattooed Boone across his throat, maybe.
Ooh.
No?
If he did that, maybe for Boone too, we can get that'll be part of the sales deck.
So you're, again, in Hollywood terms, I don't know what it means.
Yeah. That's the beauty of this podcast. I'm just making stuff up.
Yeah, we don't know.
There's no fact check.
We don't know. The wrestling fans don't know. Sounds about right. Okay, go on.
So a year later, no takers. Started to attach. I did a low budget movie called Dangerous Games, and I hit it off with the producer of that movie, Jonathan Lee Smith. So JLS,
as we know him in the biz.
I like that. I've never even said it before. I'm going to start saying it now.
It's yours.
So me, Brady Romberg, and JLS are attached to Boone the Bounty Hunter. We've got a script. JLS is shopping it. He's taking it to Croatia. He's taking it to the UK. He's pounding the pavement looking for money. Brady's doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing. And we find someone that says that they will do a matching funds deal. And a few months go by, and we can't find anyone to put in any of the money. And it's in this time that I've started to think, if this movie doesn't get made soon, it's never going to happen. So I put my house on the market. I end up really quickly at the time selling my house and doing all right. Like I didn't make a killing. If I had held on to it for another year, I probably would have made a lot more money.
And that was where we did that first podcast.
Yeah, you were there.
And it was a beautiful house.
Yeah,
right on the ocean.
It was my dream house.
Yeah,
like it still is like my dream to live in Manhattan Beach again. But anyway, so that place. But it wasn't like I paid it off in full anyway. There was a mortgage on it.
Mm-hmm.
So sold that place, and then when we finished going through escrow, everything closed. Now I had a big chunk of money in my bank account. And I was thinking I'm going to send half the budget of Boone to this escrow account, and this company that's going to match funds is going to put in the other half. We're going to have the full budget. We're going to crew up. We're going to cast up, and we're going to be good to go. That company, it turns out, was just kind of talking hypothetically.
Oh, God.
So I put the money in this account. I show them the proof of funds. A few weeks go by, and they have to talk to their partner who's out of town. A few weeks go by, that guy gets back, and the family emergency. A few more weeks go by.
Sounds like wrestling.
Someone's kid is sick.
Yeah.
A few more weeks go by, and I'm starting to feel like I'm sick of these guys. They're full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's ever going to happen. So I take the script, and we attach a director, Rob Curbison, super talented dude. And we cut the script again. So the production budget has now been cut and cut and cut. And so now we've got enough money from the sale of that house, and we've saved enough money by cutting the script further and further down that we feel like we've got the money to shoot what we have on paper. It's time to start booking locations,
And
getting work permits.
And by we, you mean you have enough money.
Yes.
Your money. From this house.
That's true.
Yeah.
By we, I mean my money that I got from the house. And by we, I'm talking about that team of people is starting to book locations and get
But
shooting
that money
permits
from that
and stuff.
house, and you tell me how much you've thought about this, is that money that you took from the house is bumping every night, is going on an airplane every day.
It was pretty much my entire WWE run.
Of course.
That money.
Yeah.
And I've believe me, I have thought about it.
Yeah.
I've thought about it frequently. And I've thought about how nice it would be to be back in Manhattan Beach. But I wouldn't trade anything because it ended up working out, and now I'm sitting here with Colt Cabana in the foyer of Luchasaurus's room at the Embassy Suites.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and this is like just such a big risk, and for you, and it's like we're in the front of it, and so this could be another Dynamo exerciser.
It's true.
Or I forgot what it's called.
Out of Your Mind Fitness.
Out of Your Mind Fitness. Or I mean, I don't even know. Do you try to look at the idea of like, here's what I'm scared about is that your mind goes to, I can leave WWE and be put in a $10 million thing, and it didn't happen. But your mind at the time was like, well, obviously it's going to happen. And now here you are putting your house on the line on a movie.
Right. Well, my thinking definitely evolved, and I feel like I have a really good idea of how to make a movie, the entertainment business, getting a handle on what film distribution means, what actually happens to your movie after you make a deal with a distribution company, how you get your money back out of it. And if Boone had never happened, if I didn't put that money in the account, I wouldn't have had that experience, and there wouldn't be a movie at all.
And then like Kevin Sorbo's in it, right?
Oh yeah, man. So
Rampage is in it.
So
I mean,
that's what I have on the line.
Yeah.
So I'm now nuts. I'm like, all right, this movie's got to be a success, right? Let me call every favor of everyone that I know or even have ever met, and try to get them into this fucking movie because I want people to see it. I need it to be a success, and I really want to feel like I didn't waste my time writing the script for 4 years, filming 100 hours of like action design experiments with Brady at different parkour gyms and doing pre-visits for all the action in Boone. I really want this thing to work. And the other thing that I always had in my mind, and I made a feature in college. I was a film major there too, and I wrote, directed, and produced a terrible movie my senior year. And from that experience, I had some prior knowledge.
And also, I don't know if we talked about this last time. You produced the skits that got Crime Time their job. You edited
true.
those, right?
And the Heartthrobs.
And the Heartthrobs.
Yeah, we did at OVW. I followed Roselli and Thomas around with a camera and static, and filmed all this like It's Raining Men, like dance montage videos, and it was fun.
And you edited those together.
I put those together and sent them to the office, and then actually Joey was like pissed one day. He's like, they just called the Heartthrobs up because of a video that you made for them. Is there anyone else that you think you should be making videos for?
Did you end up making videos for you guys?
And it ended up getting us called up.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
What did you make for you guys?
I made a combination
And
of...
this is for you and Joey
for
Mercury.
Eminem.
Yeah.
I made a combo of like a highlight videos.
Pizza Hut Taco Bell?
Oh, man. If only.
Did you make that
If
combo?
only.
It's already been made.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah.
I made like highlight videos with some cool music for Eminem, and then I started booking photo shoots because we were doing like the trendy LA name dropping kids with the red carpet and the paparazzi. So we started booking photo shoots by the Ohio River and downtown, and the three of us dressed up in high fashion stuff, and I would film pieces of that and edit it into our videos. And I started just sending stuff to John Laurinaitis, and it didn't work right away. It got their attention though. There was a couple times when Johnny and Steph and I think even Krista Joseph was around for some of this too. But Brian Gewirtz and Ed Koski and Lagana, when the writers come to OVW and everyone's nervous because you're like, I've got to impress everyone and I've only got a minute in the ring to do it. They would say that they were a fan of the videos, the Eminem videos that we were making and sending. So it put us on the map that way. And then eventually it led to them using Eminem in totality. There was a while where they were going to replace Joey with Chris Cage, and
Really?
They even tried us out on a live event loop, me, Melina, and Chris Cage, and it would have been a whole different way for my career to go.
Joey would have been so salty. He must have been as that was happening.
He was
probably,
already
too.
bummed.
Yeah.
And he was like super good friends with Chris, and
Right.
like Chris felt bad. Like it was a bad situation.
Yeah.
I mean, a group of people who were all really tight and friends, and Chris like is told he has to wrestle as a tag partner with me, and he doesn't have any matching gear, so he's in his Chris Cage tights. I'm in the Johnny
God.
Nitro gear, and we're doing live events at OVW live events and stuff, and then and WWE live events, a couple of those too.
As
It was
Eminem.
super awkward.
As Eminem with Cage.
I mean, as CNM,
Yeah, what was his?
yeah, and he did good, but ultimately I think
Because I remember hearing something where like Steph was like. Steph, like I know her like that. Me and Steph, where she was like, "We'll never hire Joey," or "Joey will never." And then all of a sudden, like that gimmick came about, and he got
I
his
think
big
Steph
chance.
told that to Vinny, and then Vinny decided these guys have done this
Vincendo,
gimmick.
old Vincendo.
Yeah, Vinny Mac, big Vinny Mac. Hey, decided that I think the whole creative team like looked at what we'd done in OVW. We'd been a tag team for a couple years. We had this entrance. We had this chemistry that instead of reinventing the wheel, which is what they usually like to do,
Yeah.
to like hand someone a gimmick, that just let us go with what we had, which was awesome.
It's too good not to do. That popped up on my Facebook the other day. It was just your guys's.
Like-
put your guys's debut.
Like it's always crazy when you look at Twitter and you see those things that say 10 years ago today, 12 years ago today.
But it was funny to watch because I remember when it debuted, and I might have even been there as an extra that day on your debut, where it was just like, fuck, that's awesome. But then you look at it now and it's like, oh God, they came so far and you came so far. And I could see in your eyes like how nervous and how scared you were.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Like now as a 36-year-old or whatever,
Right.
looking at you
For sure.
as a
Thinking about
22-year-old.
Whew, I was nuts. I was you're right. I was so nervous back then because I had already been sent up and had a 6-month deal on Raw as Eric Bischoff's apprentice, Johnny Nitro.
Yeah.
And I didn't love that gimmick. I mean, in retrospect, you could make money as a manager on Raw. That's great. But at the time, all I wanted to do was wrestle. So I was not super stoked to be Bischoff's apprentice. I liked Eric, and I liked doing the skits and all that. I didn't have a wrestling character, so I didn't love it. But when they sent me back to OVW because I was green, and I was. It was the first time I started to feel like, most people that are on the road and get sent back to OVW are let go the week or two after.
Yeah.
And it took about almost a year for Eminem to get called up after that. And in that year, it was when like the reality was sinking in that this is probably my last shot. If Eminem doesn't work out, I'm gonna move back to Los Angeles with a bag of fur coats and no paychecks.
I like the idea of you hitchhiking back to LA with a duffel bag and it's just fur coats.
Well, what's in that bag?
Yeah.
Fur coats.
Right. 7 fur coats, $8,000 fur coats.
At the time, they were $200 fur coats.
All right. That was a weird question that I was wondering. Did you have house show fur coats that were
originally?
But when you
originally those coats I found on Melrose, and they're called burner jackets. They were for a Burning Man. They just every like a couple times a year sold these like crazy cheap faux fur coats, and I saw them one time and bought two, one for me, one for Joey, and then I had to wait. I think it was a few months before I found them again, and they found them in some store and bought like 3 more for me and 3 more for him in different matching colors.
Who WWE did?
I did.
Oh, you did, yeah. But then eventually you started wearing like $8,000 fur coats.
Oh yeah, but when the evolution starts, instead of just like a fur coat with no studs and stuff, the first one I got like for $150.
Okay.
The evolution, when that starts to take over, and now you've got,
and you're of course talking about you being with Batista, Ric Flair, and Triple H.
Oh yeah,
And
that evolution
is that correct?
Paid, laid, and made.
I'm glad you know that.
Man.
Okay. When the evolution of your character,
in the coats got expensive.
Yeah.
Swarovski rhinestones, rivets, studs, metal, different kinds of expensive leather, all sewn into these coats
for TV. Did you have a cheapie for the house shows?
I used like our original burner jackets for the house shows for a long time, and they were pretty gross. Like towards the end of 2006, I just had like a couple of like really nasty duffel bags, and I would just leave them in the duffel bag, wear them for the house show, and I'd always pour water on my head so the coat would be wet. And I'd crumple it back up, stick it in the bag, and just leave it there until the next week, and until they eventually just got super gross.
Until Bob Holly was like, "Who smells like shit?"
God damn it!
And then beat the shit out of you. Bless Bob Holly.
And the coat.
Yeah. Okay, so your movie, which is now, so it's now you made it, you filmed it, you called in all the favors,
right? So now we've got this budget, and I was always overly ambitious for everything that I wanted to do. I didn't compromise at all. This is a good example of not compromising. There's one scene. There's a fight in a barn, and Brady's mom has a pig named Tater, and we thought it was hilarious. The pig's really funny. Like it's a nice looking little pig, actually big pig. And as soon as you touch it, Tater always goes nuts and screams, and it freaks people out. So every time you go over to Brady's mom's house, someone's like, "Hey, just go pet Tater."
Yeah.
And every time someone goes over there, they reach out, and as soon as they get close, it's the pig starts screaming, and it freaks everybody out. So we wanted Tater to be in this movie. And in our previs, we had a section of this fight in the barn that ended up in the pig pen and a Home Alone moment where I'm screaming and the pig's screaming and then running away. When we got there, director Rob Kurbison pointed out that it's going to be impossible to get Tater from Brady's mom's farm 4 hours away to where we're shooting in Santa Clarita. We're going to spend, if we wanted to do that, 10 hours on this pig shot when we paid for this location, and we should be focusing on the action, the fight, and the actors, which we all agreed with. with the caveat that we would just shoot me falling into the pig pen and then go up to Brady's mom's farm and get the pig stuff later. Which we ended up having to do it ended up being like a 3-day trip, like going up there, setting up a green screen in the pig pen, the camera crew, everyone, like we were up there together after principal photography wrapped. And on the way, both of us were thinking like, yeah, this seemed like a great idea, but now that it's actually happening, we're really working hard for a 1-second shot of Tater the pig in this in this movie. But I did a lot of stuff like that. So that meant that we've got a pig now. Now we're going to have these shots that need to be rotoscoped by the effects guy. They need to be sound designed, and it's not with principal photography. It's a year later that we've got now a couple shots of this pig that need to be inserted into the edit. And we've got editors who've been working on Boone for a very low rate for way too long already. Yeah. And a VFX guy who's spent as much time fixing shots as he had adding like muzzle flares and gun flashes. And he was pretty stoked because he thought the pig was funny too. But all the favors are starting to become stretched really thin, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The 14th call to the editor was like, hey, so we finally got the pig shot. It's going to be rotoscoped. You just need to drop it into the edit and then export a new version of Boone. And then we need to take that back to color and get it all set up. So the longer that goes on and the longer that keeps happening, the less excited people are usually to keep working on a project.
Well,
so after we wrapped, the point of that story is there's a lot of things that I did like that I forced us to really get stuff that I had in my mind that I'd visualized. And it took, because of that, almost 2 years to get through the post process.
Just the post process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think what everyone can kind of take away is that, like, you know, I think it kind of relates back to wrestling, is that, well, we just see it on TV and we go, oh, that's fun. But then, you know, you get to hear these stories of how much is put behind it. And then, especially for this one, we see how much is put behind it. So if you buy it or purchase it, like, it's not just like to watch a movie, but it's to support a man and to support like a process, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about how hard it was to make this movie and all that for a long time. But the reason that I feel good about this whole process is because it's not just that the story isn't that I finished the movie. To me, the story is the movie's really good. We had a screening last night here in Chicago. Everybody that saw Boone went out of their way to say, hey, that was much better than I expected. Yeah. which
I saw it, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And I don't think, well, not how funny, I think unexpectedly funny, but I know you're funny, but it's just,
right.
I don't know what thinking, like, yeah. like
just like everyone else, your expectations were low.
But what there was there was the one moment in the trailer where you say, what is it? Where's the stair? Or,
yeah.
It's such
Where's Ryan? Upstairs. Where's the stairs?
Yeah. And I think that sets up the whole pace of like how fun this movie is.
Yeah.
And
that's really what we were going for. We wanted to have a fun movie. The point of it was to make the kind of movie that I would have watched over and over again when I was a kid.
That's kind of what I like. It's like one of those like HBO at 3 p.m. movies.
Yeah.
That you watched them, that like was whenever it was on, you just watched it.
Right. You're like, oh, this movie.
Yeah.
They're like you know Bruce Willis's one-liners in Die Hard.
Right. You quote the lines.
Bloodsport. Mm-hmm. I wanted to make something that people really liked to watch. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of serious movies out there, and those are good too. But I wanted this to be something that people really enjoyed, and it's worked out that way.
Yeah, it's like a fun campy almost, right?
Yeah.
Is that a good example? Fun camp.
Fun camp.
Well, fun, like action.
We could probably
humor.
church that up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Action humor sounds cooler.
Action humor, fun camp.
Like,
which is a place
Lethal Weapon meets Big Trouble in Little China meets Rumble in the Bronx
meets Rumpelstiltskin.
Which one?
I don't know. It sounded like Rumble.
The movie, not the short story.
No, yeah. The live action movie. Okay, and where do people get it, man?
Okay, so this movie is out now.
Yeah.
On VOD, Boone the Bounty Hunter on Amazon, Boone the Bounty Hunter on iTunes, and it's also available on demand in your little cable box. If you have Comcast, Cox Cable, Time Warner, or any of another 40 different little boxes in your house.
And here's something that I found, I think, good for me when I was promoting Wrestling Road Dash 3 is I put the trailer, I pinned the trailer as my tweet.
How do you pin tweets?
So I'll do it for you right now is what we'll
Okay.
do. But so that way it's like, I think it's important to say, go see the trailer.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be like, go buy this 2-hour movie, but then you say, go see the trailer, and the trailer looks funny. You're like, oh shit, I'll go buy that. So I would say, make sure that you see the trailer, and you should pin it towards on your Twitter.
I'm gonna figure out how to pin this tweet as soon as we stop talking,
right?
Because actually, literally, that's something that I've been meaning to do.
And what's your Twitter again?
My Twitter is @TheRealMorrison. By the time you're listening to this, the trailer will be the pinned tweet.
There you go.
My Facebook is John Morrison, the real one. There's a lot of fakes, but make sure you go to the real one. Boone the Bounty Hunter has its own Facebook page, Boone the Bounty Hunter, and my Instagram is @JohnHennigan. Follow me on all that stuff for more information about Boone. We got a ton of cool set stills, behind the scenes videos, and such. And if you don't want to watch it on your computer, make sure you write down June 6th on your calendar, because on that day, Boone will be available exclusively at Walmart on DVD.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
In those boxes, I used to pick up DVDs all the time.
This is something crazy that I bet you didn't know about Walmart. So Walmart orders a bunch of DVDs, and in their contract, if they don't sell the DVDs, I have to buy them back.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it's kind of scary. It's like exclusively on DVD at Walmart. Yeah. But if they don't sell, you got to buy them back.
For more than they paid for.
Probably.
They
Probably.
End up making,
it's a long contract.
They ended up making $50,000. Well, John, best of luck to you, man. This is exciting.
Thank you very much, man. Thanks for having me. It's always fun being on the podcast, and pleasure seeing you again. And by the time this is aired, I'll have already seen you at Wrestle Circus.
Yeah, and AAW.
Both.
And Pro Wrestling Revolver.
And Pro Wrestling Revolver, yeah.
I've seen enough of you.
Independent wrestlers.
I can never see enough of you.
Man.
Especially on the big screen.
Hey, yo.
Boone the Bounty Hunter. Available May
Already available right now.
4th?
Hashtag Get Booned, May 9th.
May 9th.
Hashtag America, you're welcome. Hashtag Boone the Bounty Hunter. Oh.
All right, the pinned tweet is up. Go watch the movie. Amazon, iTunes, the works. Wherever you're watching movies, you're watching Boone the Bounty Hunter. Maybe Marty and I should do a $5 movie over a top of it, and we'll put that on YouTube. That's an idea. Just throwing that out there. Before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and
upcoming events.
ColtMerch.com and DigitalColt.com, the best way that you can support Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, Facebook /AOW Podcast, also /Colt Cabana. My storytelling podcast, Pro Wrestling Fringe, plus past archives of the show are ad-free, and they're on howl.fm/Colt. Use the code Colt. Get yourself a free month. ColtWrestling@gmail.com, my very public email. Maybe you want to put me on your show or upcoming convention. I got a YouTube channel. I've been uploading some stuff from the podcast there. ColtCabana.com is my website. I got a P.O. box there. Zach sent me something fun, and so did Cass. Thank you. Upcoming Friday, May 12th, Sunday, May 14th, Saturday, June 3rd, Sunday, June 4th, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, St. Louis. I'm doing commentary, I assume. ROHWrestling.com. Saturday, May 13th, Westbrook, Maine, LimitlessWrestling.com. Friday, May 19th, Lakewood, Ohio, OldWrestling.com, old with an E. Saturday, May 20th, Rahway, New Jersey, WrestleProOnline.com. Thursday, May 25th, Berwyn, Illinois, AAWrestling.com. Friday and Saturday, May 26th and 27th, Cleveland, Ohio, AIWrestling.com. Probably going to do a live podcast on Saturday afternoon if you want to come join me at AIW. Friday, June 2nd, Seattle, Washington, Facebook /321battle. I'm also doing a seminar the night before if you're a trained wrestler and want to wrestle with me. Saturday, June 10th, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, IWCWrestling.com. Sunday, June 11th, Old Forge, Pennsylvania, Powerbomb.tv. That is the show for this week. Huge thank you to you guys at home for listening and telling a friend. Thanks to John Morrison for coming on the show and promoting his movie Boone the Bounty Hunter. I'll say it one more time. Thanks to Kevin Guy, Jeff, Stu Stone, Kid Russell, Matt Jenkins on the music, Dane Miller with some tech. Sponsors, highspots.com, POV service that is amazing. Watch some PWG, watch some $5 wrestling, AMA knee pad, gear, mask, a wrestling ring. 1hourtees.com, they help run pro wrestling. Crate.com, they help run pro wrestling. Tees.com, that's the place where you can support your favorite independent wrestler directly by buying a t-shirt. And thanks to tweakedaudio.com/Colt, the earbuds that I use get over 30% off, free shipping just because you listen to this show. That is the show for the week. I'm out of here. I'm going to go watch Boone the Bounty Hunter one more time. I said it again. You like that? Boone the Bounty Hunter. It's good. I haven't checked if it's available to rent. I don't buy movies anymore. I rent them because it's not like I'm going to hold on to it. I don't want to hold on to it. I just want to watch it and then that's it. It goes back in the ether. So hopefully there's a rent scenario. If there is one, I think that's the way to go. If not, some of you guys like to collect. Then collect them. You get the idea. All right, I'm out of here. Got a bunch of shows this week. Bunch of stuff to do. This has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks. Oh, what was that sigh at the end?
Oh, it was a oh.
Oh, I thought it was oh.
No, I was trying to do like a sexy like oh.
Oh, my movie.
Like,
my movie's coming out.
Like a UGNHH exclamation mark.
UGNY. You don't get no alibi.
Thanks for listening.